Hey everyone, it's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. You might notice that I am not sitting up in my office today. I am here with our good friend Tommy at his new, I don't even know, studio company
Yeah.
endeavor, Haptix Studios.
Yes, sir.
How
Haptix Studio.
how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me to have this conversation with you. I'm so excited.
It's an honor for me to have you on the show. This place is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And for you to take the time, I really appreciate it because I know you are busy and I know that there's a lot going on.
Of course.
So we've got our masks on, but we've got this thing sitting in front of us, and we're going to take our masks off. And will you tell everyone why that's okay?
Absolutely. So this product here is a prototype from one of our friends here at Haptix Studio, but it is this metal mesh that both the material that's made of and the coating on it kills microbes as air passes through it. So we can have this conversation, still be able to feel much more natural and close together, but feel safer.
So that's super cool. And we could probably spend 30 minutes talking about that. But I just want you guys to know that we're being safe. We care that you're safe. And I will get mad at you if you're not safe. You know that. So why don't you tell us about yourself and then tell us a little bit about your project or projects, because you got a lot going on.
Absolutely. Sure thing. Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Tommy Truong. A little bit about me. I'm a husband, Spartan, have Vietnamese. Let's see, what else? I have a background. I guess I just went straight into career stuff, but I have a background in user experience, project management, as well as software engineering. And one thing led to another. Eventually, it got me to this place here and all these projects. But at the core of it, I've always been about wanting to help people and figuring out ways that I can bring my interests into that mission. And then that eventually led to these projects I mentioned. So currently, the two titles that I hold, I'm president of Great Lakes Real Labs. Great Lakes Real Labs is a virtual reality design development firm. We create VR solutions for education, training, and therapeutics. And that eventually led to this facility that we're in right now, which is Haptix Studios. And Haptix Studio we've been calling it a motion capture and multimedia production studio that's education forward. So unlike kind of the star of the show is our motion capture studio, which is 1,800 square feet of capture area with 56 cameras, an OptiTrack system, but there isn't any other system to this scale that is being made available for education, right? Sure, there may be a couple equally large setups in the basements of a couple car companies here in Michigan that is used for research, but definitely not something that any students could just wander into to learn about, or any indie producer that wants to come in and say, hey, I want to make this creation. Can you help me out to do that? But that's kind of our mission, is to create classes, workshops. We're partnered with the schools around here, Lansing Public Schools, Ingham ISD, Eaton, Clinton, Shiawassee, and together pooling all our resources, we want to, like I mentioned, make this accessible to students. We're also doing some training for law enforcement emergency response, and of course, we have the gear here, so we want to make available for other indie creators and producers to bring their stories to life.
All right, so now I have 100 questions. So I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Sure.
I got to give a shout out to 102 Pho, Bruce Lee. Have you been there?
I have not.
Yeah, it's I had his seafood boil a couple weeks ago. It is amazing. So
nice.
Shout out to Bruce. He has a Vietnamese restaurant in by the Meridian Mall over there.
Excellent.
So yeah, it was very good. And so where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. And my parents and I came up here when I was about, what was it, 1 or 2 or so to Michigan. Because Texas economy at that time wasn't doing too well, and Michigan has its car economy. So they were to come up here to Michigan and make a home over in Grand Rapids, technically Wyoming, over there, suburbs. Okay. But kind of grew up there, went to high school, and then found my way over to Michigan State University. And from that point on, I fell in love with the city here and stayed.
So did you graduate from Wyoming High School?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your degree at Michigan State?
Yes, my degree at Michigan State is called Experience Architecture,
Okay.
but essentially is the field of user experience.
Okay. And you, so man, I got two questions. I want to go with one of them. How, like, can people come in here and see this?
Absolutely.
How does that happen?
Sure thing. So yeah, so if you want to go, and if anybody is interested in coming and check out our facility, feel free to reach us at our website, haptixstudio.com, or our email, hello@haptixstudio.com. And we're open to giving tours, talking about the facility. We'd love to sit down and come up with ideas for more projects to continue on this mission too.
For people that might not understand the power of what you have here, can you give us like a story or what an end product might really look like
Sure
that
thing.
people can do? Because I don't know if they're under this virtual reality that you can do here and what you can do with all this. Can you tell us some
Sure thing.
examples?
I'd say there are two parts of the impact that we want to make here at Haptix Studio. One of them is the existence of a motion capture studio. So motion capture technology, for those who aren't aware, is the similar tech that you see, some of the behind the scenes stuff for Disney animations, for video games. So anytime you see a 3D character kind of moving around, that's the technology that's being used. The actors put it on suits, they have little markers, the cameras track their skeletal structure, and then we are able to put models on top of that. So being available here in Lansing, there's not many resources like this here in Michigan and in the Midwest, particularly, like I mentioned, that's also available for usage, especially at this scale. It's hard to come by for that. So that's the existence of it is one aspect of the impact we want to make, and the other is, you mentioned, the education forward approach. Is that for many students that want to get into these industries, whether it be video game design, 3D art, animation, film like this, then sure, they can go to school or they can study, at home through all the various resources that are out there on the internet. But there also needs to be a lot of hands-on experience with this equipment too. It is a unique set of equipment that's being used. There are smaller motion capture studios at Michigan State University and University of Michigan, but those scales are a lot smaller, around 12 cameras, around there. So it's the complexity for certain productions can't always be achieved with those smaller setups, but we also want to tackle younger audiences too, to try to inspire these kids from a younger age, middle school, high school, to say, hey, the movies that you love, the video games like to play, here's how they're made. Come check it out. We want to teach you how to make those, and then go ahead and do it. Come here anytime, and we'll teach you how to make video games, and then boom. And then after that, hey, we may want to hire you at Great Lakes Reality Labs. You don't have to go over to New York or San Fran, right? Have to move to faraway places. You can stay at home with your family and be local and still pursue your dreams.
You're reading my mind, because I want to make it clear to everybody, this is special. There isn't tons of these in every city in America, right? There's only a few of these in America, and something this big is super special. Why would you put this in Lansing? What kept it here? What kept you here?
Oh, sure thing, man. What kept me here in Lansing? When I came from Wyoming, Michigan over to Lansing, of course there's East Lansing, there's campus, and that's fun. But after, I would say, my sophomore year or so, I really started exploring Lansing a bit more, and there's so much going on here that I know a lot of people on campus at the time wanted to get their degree and then leave. Right, they want to go out and find a job some other places. But the more I explore Lansing, I was like, wow, there's so much arts and culture here. Lansing's an insurance town. It's a car town, right? It's the capital, right? You're able to walk around the streets and meet interesting people, see all this art stuff, see the impact that from MSU, from LCC, and it's just this community that drew me to stay here in Lansing. And one of the big reasons why I decided to focus these resources here in Lansing is one, to help bring Lansing up and promote the community here, as well as, if we made this in any other city, what makes us unique? Like, what's our impact if we're competing with a bunch of people? But instead, let's stay local and bring out the beauty and the interest in the little pockets that are around here. And I find that so much more interesting. There's all these individuals with these big dreams and small pockets, these small communities, that I don't want those voices to be lost.
So anybody who knows me, you know I love Tommy. Now you can just what he just said. You know that he is right up our alley, right up what we are trying to do here. We often say the phrase that genius is lost in poverty, and what you just described is your ambition to make sure that that doesn't happen. So now you have loyal fans from the Fledge for the rest of your life.
Oh, thank you.
For what that's worth, anyways.
I love that. It means a lot to me.
You I've got a listener, the lady Miss Betty is her podcast, and her name is Sean, and she's on right now, and she works with dementia and Alzheimer's, and she's telling a story of her and her mother and that journey. And you mentioned the word therapeutics earlier. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure thing.
And I've got some questions about that too.
Absolutely. So when I first started diving into VR, of course, there's the games aspect of it, the entertainment aspect of it. But I quickly found these smaller projects that people were doing in therapeutics. Of course, we've seen apps for meditation, whatnot, but then we also see other forms of therapy that uses VR in kind of untraditional ways when it comes to VR. There's actually a game, a VR game. What's it called? It was made by the Alzheimer's Association in the UK, but it was a VR game that put you in the shoes of somebody with dementia. The idea behind that is to help build empathy, of trying for you to be able to see a little bit more firsthand what that experience is like, so you can understand individuals who suffer from dementia a bit more. So that's a kind of example of therapy for people who find it harder to understand. And some other projects that we're trying to do is we're trying to build a platform right now to we want to address 3 big things with this platform: mindfulness, mitigation, and memory. For memory, we're currently working on some prototypes right now for VR tools to help address Alzheimer's. That's one of them. For mindfulness, of course, there are, like I mentioned, there are meditation apps out there right now, but we want to reach out to developers of those, have some conversations, potentially develop some ourselves. But kind of where that came from was we wanted to create some resource to help emergency responders, especially with this year, things going on. It's a super stressful time. The ER doctors, for example, and all that. And like, how can we help them cope with everything that's going on from their perspective? So that's kind of where we want to approach the mindfulness on that aspect. And of course, that can help out a lot of other individuals too. And then mitigation is using VR and these immersive experiences for pain management to help alleviate painkiller addiction, to be able to use VR as a way to distract from the pain and kind of fall back on these more interesting experiences, instead of, let's say, in the hospital room, keep pressing the button for more morphine or other painkillers.
That is spectacular. So do you know about like what a small business innovation research grant is, an SBIR?
Yes.
And did you know that they've awarded a couple for digital therapeutics?
I have heard of that.
Yeah. So I think that would be really interesting. So shout out to the lab to market guys out there, because you might be going after an SBIR, huh?
Oh, I mean, we're looking for as many resources we can to make these tools a reality. I mean, kind of the big word that helps keep us alive, helps this succeed, is community and collaboration. Like I mentioned, this space is thanks to a partnership with the schools, right? Is the idea for us with all these products is that we want the end copy to be free for teachers and students. They should not have to worry about money. They should worry about teaching and learning. So we work with the school administrations, the intermediate school districts, so superintendents there, and we're like, all right, what resources are available? We also have relationships with the state government here in Michigan, the governor's office, and it's like, all right, let's keep pulling these resources together and be these early adopters for the development of these new things, and then let's extend them on to those who can really benefit from it.
Spectacular. So, man, there's so many more things because I saw like the training that you had for like police officers, and it's not just pull your gun and start
Correct.
shooting. It's a whole thing, a whole training to get people more experience, more
Yep.
to kind of take some of that fear that might make them reactive
Yep.
out of it. I just think it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you.
What's something you do every damn day to kind of move this mission forward?
Oh man, actually, we chatted about this a bit earlier, and trying to come up with an answer for that. And what do I do every damn day to push this mission forward? I would say every day I try to talk to somebody new, or talk to somebody I've already spoken to, but about a new topic. Our mission is education. I'm always trying to learn. Part of that is learning from other people's experiences and other people's stories to build that empathy, to build that understanding. And that's how we can work together, is through that understanding. And yeah, I have as many conversations as I can every single day. Sometimes I talk too much. I do talk too much. But I'd say that's okay. And I think more of these conversations, this discourse needs to happen. And I would promote that with everybody, to try to challenge each other, to have deeper conversations, to have newer conversations, and also challenge people to reach out to strangers and see what their stories are.
You are inspiring me so much. It's, the lady, Miss Betty or Sean, says excellent answer and outlook on it. And
Thank you.
And I definitely agree with that. Sometimes when you're trying to build community, and the irony is that can feel lonely, and it can be, sometimes, when the community's struggling or hurting, especially, you're like, why, what am I doing? I'm lost. And, to have someone like you just tell me all of this in this last 20 minutes, and I won't feel as lonely anymore. I just want to know, I want you to know that.
Thank you. Don't feel lonely.
And we have so much to learn from each other, and so much to still do together. And I'm really excited about that. So on the show, I always daisy chain the shows together.
Yeah.
And yesterday I had Amy on the show, and she uses play therapy, which we're kind of talking about that in some way, to help kids with depression. And she's a young author, a new author, a new local author. And she has the question for you: what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were little? And as you look at that, that question.
Yeah. Well, when I was little, the word that sticks out to me is, when I was little, and what I wanted to be when I grew up is, it sounds cheesy, helpful. So I'm Buddhist, and I come from a family where my grandmother, she's a Buddhist monk, Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And I was taught a lot about being as selfless as possible and helping others as much as possible. My parents, tried to push me in the direction of being a doctor, right, to help others, being, getting a college education so I can be more educated to help others. But again, as I grew older, I didn't quite want to be a doctor. I wanted to pursue more technology. And there was a little bit of disconnect at first, because I also didn't fully understand at that time the impact that technology actually makes on people, both good and bad. So I was like, oh man, how can I still be helpful with technology? And it was through more understanding technology and through talking to more people and the community, that's where I was able to kind of find my answer of how can one make technology for more helpful. It's by making technology more relevant, to make technology that is designed to be user-centric and to not be abusive. And so I know I kind of got off track there of what I wanted to be to grow up, but helpful.
I think that's such an excellent answer. And I wonder, are your parents, do they understand why you took this route now? And are they disgruntled about you not being a doctor or anything?
I do not think that that they are disgruntled for me not pursuing a going into the medical field. To be honest, I don't think they 100% are sure what I do, but I have brought them to here and kind of shown them some VR and whatnot. But what I always, whenever I talk to them, I always try to focus conversation around education, and they understand that. They understand, how important that is. So they're both Vietnamese immigrants. They came over after the Vietnam War, and one of their biggest things after they came to America was to learn what it means to be an American, to learn how to fit in, to learn how to take advantage of the resources that they have now with these freedoms that weren't available in Vietnam. And when they had me, they wanted me to learn that too, learn from their mistakes, learn from their experiences, and take advantage of all the resources that are here in America to learn: school, college, and community and family.
I want to add just something that's in my mind right now, and we got to stay strong through this part of the conversation. My daughter, my older daughter, she was addicted to heroin. She suffered with substance use disorder, and eventually died of a fentanyl overdose. So when you talk to me about addiction and what you could do without bringing big pharma in, when you can do it virtually like this, and you could do something to help cure that, I can't think of a doctor out there right now that would be able to do that work. And this is possible. And I thank you for choosing to stay in Lansing and make our community stronger. Because we got a lot of problems to solve,
yes,
but we got to solve them with what we know, not what other people know. We don't need San Francisco and Boston coming in to tell us how to be, right?
Exactly, and we got to solve it together.
So to me, what you're doing is better than a doctor. So
thank you.
For whatever that's worth to your parents. Like, who was that guy?
See mom, see dad.
So on the show tomorrow, we've got a gentleman named Dave Dale. And he does a lot of work with the homeless. Like, he gets into the camps, he sees what people's needs are, and he goes and finds them stuff and takes it back to them. What question would you like to ask him?
Oh, I would want to ask him, how do you build empathy?
And as I do on the show, I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you build empathy? And actually, what do you mean by that? Like empathy within himself or empathy within the crowd?
Yes, but to both of those. And so to build off a bit more about the question of empathy, and also answer the question, to myself of how do I build empathy, is to develop my own story, to learn about the stories of others, and to tell all these stories. Like let's start with internally is, we're always learning more about ourselves and our own story. Kind of what does that mean? It's growing as we have more and more life experiences. And it's like, if you're ever reading a difficult book, a complicated book, you may not always understand it on the first read. That's where you reflect back on your previous experiences and learn more on that. Build empathy for yourself. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right. And then for outwards, is learn the stories of others, what others are doing, what their missions are, what drives them. Figure out in what ways those resonate with yourself, right, on an individual and a personal level, and then share both those stories. Help raise other stories up, give them a platform so that their message can be heard, and also share some of your own interpretations of that too. Contribute to the story. It's this overall story that we're building, and that's what I feel empathy is.
I love it. So a couple of things. One, Amanda Brewer, if you're listening, we got LA covered. You can come back to Lansing anytime you want.
Please come.
So Brian Town,
yes,
he's involved too, right?
That's correct. Yep.
So should we give a little shout out to Michigan Creative?
Absolutely. Michigan Creative, thank you for being here in Lansing. Thank you for working with Great Lakes Real Labs from the beginning. I mean, it's if we didn't have the relationship with Mission Creative, then we wouldn't have been able to learn about how they tell their stories. And then also, that eventually brought us over to here where we're collaborating with Brian Town and Mission Creative for this studio. And this is another tool in the toolbox to help them and to help us. And we're still learning. There's so much I need to learn. And thank you, Mission Creative, for teaching me.
And it's so overwhelming how much we have to learn, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And COVID is teaching us lessons every day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
oh man,
My gosh.
Let me take care of a little bit of business. Hey, please subscribe to the Fledges YouTube channel so that you can see every damn day 99 problems, but a pitch ain't one. We started up Coding Club this week, so we'll be broadcasting every Monday our Coding Club, and every Saturday we're doing 10,000 Fledges, which is our quest to put 10,000 Fledges around the world. So after that business is done, I always ask the guest to take us out with something, a story, a vision, a bit of advice. You could just say deuces and we'll end the thing right now. But we're actually motivating some of the crowd, making her Cindy, who watches often too, makes me long to be back in Lansing area. So it's working. It's working.
Perfect. Excellent. You know what one final note I would say is, man, it sounds cheesy. Connect with community. Be local. I know being local is great, but really explore what local means to you and how you can be involved in what is local to you and what communities are involved locally. The intersectionalities, the pockets, the diversity. Go do it. And then come back and tell me about it.
I love it. And I'm going to add one more thing. People like Tommy, the projects that he's working on, the stuff that's happening, the diversity of our community, be proud of Lansing, because we got a lot going for us. We've got a lot of talent here. We have a lot of tech here. We're going to have more physicists than anybody else in the world when the FRIB is up. So be proud of Lansing. We're not the Rust Belt little factory city that everyone thinks we are. We've got a lot of special stuff happening. And this gentleman sitting through this weird mesh screen that we're talking through is one of those people. And thank you for making Lansing so much stronger and making us have more and more and more to be proud of. You're a badass, Tommy.
Thank you. You as well.
See ya.